Fred's biological father left when he was several weeks old. At this difficult time, his mother struggled financially quite a bit. Anita remarried when Fred was 2, to Bill, who will become the only father figure Fred will ever have. As a child, Fred always craved for attention. He loved music that his parents liked, and his brother Corey and him were very much into Kiss. Soon Durst moved to North Carolina. Fred was always artistically inclined. He did graffiti as well as breakdancing, on which he spent a lot of time. He even formed a breakdancing group called the Reckless Crew. When Fred got a mixer from his mother as a present, he started to work on his rap. At first he rapped over instrumentals of his favorite artists, but soon he started to work on his own music and lyrics. Being a white rapper was not common at the time, so he got bullied for hanging around with black kids. So the community of Gastonia made it hard for Fred to be socially accepted. But he never let bullying get to him and always stood up for himself. He was popular among his peers as well as girls, and some of his lyrics would reflect that in the future. Later he started to skateboard, which he spent a lot of time on. About the same time, he started to get into heavier types of music, such as Black Flag and punk scene in general. With this, his rapping style started to grow more aggressive and gradually turned into screaming. And the content of his lyrics served as a canvas where he could express his angst. Fred and his stepfather did not get along. When it came to their personalities, they were complete opposites. His father was a police officer and a military-minded person for whom things had to be in order, while Fred was a free spirit to whom individuality and self-expression were important. Fred went to Gaston College, for the most part because that is what was expected of him. But shortly after joining, he realized it was not for him, so he dropped out. He did a lot of odd jobs, such as working at pizza places and skater parks. He DJ'd from time to time. When Fred met financial issues, he started to get curious about his biological father, who he had expected some financial support from. But when they met, Fred was very disappointed. "What an asshole," he said to his mother after meeting him in person. But some good did come out of it, as that made Fred appreciate his stepfather a lot more. So Fred joined the Navy to make Bill happy. But shortly after joining, Fred realized that military discipline was not for him. While in the Navy, he met Rachel, who will become his future wife. They had a daughter soon after the marriage. After nearly 2 years, Fred left the Navy as he could no longer fool himself. When he was living in California, Fred got into a big fight with his wife. So Rachel called the police. Fred jumped out of the window when she did that, but he was caught and arrested. His mother flew to California and bailed Fred out for $5,000, which was not a small sum for Durst at the time. After the incident, the young couple decided to separate due to their differences. So Fred moved back to Gastonia and Rachel stayed in California. With newly found freedom being single again, Fred got back to being creative. He started a duo rap act. Fred was the MC while his collaborator was at the turntables.
Put us in the studio, let us work for you. I got things on my mind I want to use. I can't bring them out here. I can't put what I want on this. I can't make the beats I want. Put us in the studio, let us go crazy. We know the new thing. We know what people want to hear. We got ideas in our head that would devastate what's hip-hop today.
They got some interest from labels, but were eventually turned down, which of course devastated Fred, but he was stubborn enough to keep pursuing music. But to truly pursue his passion, he had to move to Jacksonville. When Fred started living on his own, financially it was a struggle, so he started to work as a tattoo artist to make some money in order to get by. but Fred still could not commit to this job completely. He had a few bands here and there, but was never able to find the right people. Though Fred always had a clear picture in his mind of what the band should be, so all that was left to do is find the right people to make his vision come to reality. Durst met Sam Rivers, who introduced him to John Otto. This is when Fred realized they were the right people to work with. The band had thought about a name for a long time and they went through many options. But ultimately, Fred came up with the name Limp Bizkit. That turned into their final name, Limp Bizkit.